What is up, reactors? Today I'll be reacting to none other than Heavy Spoilers trailer breakdown of Thor: Love and Thunder. Now I'm eager to see and find what I missed in his trailer breakdown, because obviously it's Marvel, there are tons of Easter eggs, so I might as well go to him to see what I missed, because the man's good at what he does. Absolutely fantastic. So with that being said, it's time to react. Here we go.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and the sun shines on us again, brother, as the first trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder is now here. It's time to Ragnarok and roll, so follow us as we go through everything you need to know about the movie, the Easter eggs, hidden details, and things you missed. Full spoilers ahead for what happens in the comics, and whilst Marvel never completely adapts storylines, I'm gonna tell you to off Ghost if you don't want those things ruined. Please hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy the breakdown, and make sure you subscribe for the channel where you have to hand it to us that the worst puns make the cut, and that's how we get the paper. Little rock, paper, scissors joke there, and with that out of the way, thanks for clicking this. Now let's get into Thor: Love and Thunder.
What you got, Paul?
Now the trailer very much opens with a montage, and Thor talking about how his hands are now used for peace. There's very much this 80s training vibe to it in the same vein of Rocky, and this whole movie seems to be paying tribute to the decade. He starts off by running, and we watch through the magic of montage how he ages up. This includes his classic costume, which looks amazing, and we can also see him meditating on a planet, which I believe has 3 suns, 2 moons, and a Saturn-like planet. Thor trains away using chains instead of ropes, and on his hat we can actually catch the classic Avengers logo, with the writing strongest over the top of it. This is of course a nod to Ragnarok, when he called himself that and said that the Hulk wasn't. Now Thor looks like he's very much been on a wellness retreat, and the guy's lost all the dead weight like Screen Crush when they let Ryan Airy go and allowed Doug to run the channel. Getting a lot of hippie vibes from this, and we also see Stormbreaker planted in the ground. The handle for the axe of course came from Groot's arm, and thus it makes a lot of sense that he'd plant it back in the ground. Now the Guardians show up, and alongside their moss and blue alien creatures. These are potentially the Interdites, who have been touched upon in the Marvel Expanded Universe. They were first mentioned by Lady Sif in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode that she appeared in, and we do know that Jamie Alexander will be playing her once more in the movie.
Like I said, the man's good.
Interestingly, the Guardians are all there, minus Gamora, showing that they still haven't found her. If you cast your mind back to the ending of Avengers Endgame, then you'll remember that she was brought across from another universe, and Quill was seen attempting to search for her at the end of the movie. It was even theorized that with her being part of Thanos' army, that she might have got snapped away. However, a deleted scene showed her leaving the battlefield after Stark carried out the snap. So she is still alive, but I doubt she's gonna pop up in this movie, and instead I think it'll be something that's probably just addressed in Guardians Volume 3. Now we catch Thor wearing a red sleeveless jacket, and we know from the title leaks that this will be called Ravager Thor. Ravagers are the group that Quill belonged to, and they of course wear these red leather jackets. However, this costume itself pulls from Thor Thunderstrike, in which he also had the boots on. Really nice corporate cohesion there, where you take an already established character design from the comics and tie it into the universe where it's also the uniform of a group of characters that he's travelling with.
That's smart.
Now saying that, the Guardians might even leave without him, as he seems to get a boat, and he even turns around and walks away whilst they take to the sky. They travel through the hex points that have showed up in several films, and this allows one to jump across the universe. At this point we see a ship being pulled from New Asgard with 2 goats on the front, which are quite important. Now these goats actually pull from Norse mythology, and they're based on Tangraniznia and Tangranogrosta. Moving on, in the Tales of Legend they would pull Thor's chariot, and they were actually introduced in the MCU all the way back in 1976. The pair were renamed to Tooth Grinder and Tooth Gnasher, for reasons that I'm guessing you can probably figure out for yourself, and they too pulled My Guy's ride. Now on the boat we can catch Valkyrie and also Korg standing there with first shoulder pads. It very much looks like they're sailing across the universe and having fun due to the cocktail party sign, and you can catch Stormbreaker firing out the Bifrost, which we learn it could do in Infinity War. This means Thor can pretty much travel across the entire universe, and it looks like he's going to stand on the front of the boat and fire this across the stars. Later on in the trailer, we get another look at New Asgard and can see that it's now a thriving community. There's several cruise liners there, and also a van advertising New Asgard tours. We get a planet that looks like an M.C. Escher painting.
I wonder what the name of that cruise ship is.
Twists and turns, adding to the complexity of the world. There's also a moment where Korg and Thor stand together and look over a downed beast. Absolutely love this moment, and it's pulled directly from the comics, namely Thor: God of Thunder. Shows how much attention to detail they're paying, and it's such a standout moment in this teaser. And we also know that Russell Crowe has been cast as Zeus, and we catch his back at one point. This is going to be really interesting, and potentially we could get a pantheon of the gods. Moon Knight has introduced Khonshu to us, and we may end up getting other ones appearing, such as Bast from Black Panther. Really nice inclusion to have him here, and I can't wait to see what they do with the guy, and it might even make him Odin's brother, which would be a nice surprise. There's also an energy conference, and potentially this is a nod to Roxxon, the evil corporation that litters the Marvel Universe. They have had several references to them in the MCU, but nothing major. However, this could be where they come out. Valkyrie is seen wearing a suit at this point, and beside her we can catch Meek wearing one too. This looks quite feminine, and in the comics, Meek could have kids, so
didn't
it
even
makes
see
sense.
that.
Now, as for Jane becoming Thor, this has a lot of precedent in the comics. In the source material, whilst Thor was off-world battling Gore, she got diagnosed with cancer, and though she had several magical options that could have healed her, she refused to take them. Thor eventually ended up losing his worthiness. Is that a word? Worthiness? Anyway. And because of this, he was unable to wield Mjolnir. It then started calling out to Jane, and Heimdall took it to where it had been left behind, which just so happened to be the moon. Jane picked it up, and instantly she gained Thor's powers, and this also cured her of her cancer. Now Thor eventually found her, and though he was a bit like, "Whoa mate, you made Thor a woman. Bloody
It's
outrageous
woke.
wokeness
It's woke.
this is." He gave her his blessing when he seen that she
Read
was
a
indeed
comic
worthy.
book.
Thor even handed over his name, and we know from the toy leaks that she'll be going by the mighty Thor at some point in the film. He ended up falling back on his old name Odin's son, and I think that's probably what will also be happening in the film at some point. Now, one of the big questions you might have is how is Mjolnir, can't pronounce it, how is Thor's hammer back? That's
Mjolnir.
obviously because in Thor Ragnarok it was
Mjolnir.
destroyed by Hela, which was really sad because the hammer used to pull Thor off. As for this one, though many people think that it might come from another dimension like
She
the one in
looks
Endgame,
good.
if we look at the toy leaks, we can see that it's been pieced together again. Maybe Hela smashed it up, and because you have to be worthy to lift it, the pieces remain behind, and thus it was easy to put back together again. As for how Jane can lift it, I'm not 100% sure, but I have a theory that it might have something to do with the Infinity Stones. If we look at Vision in Age of Ultron, he could lift it, and though it was thought that this was because he was pure, it might have also been to do with the Mind Stone that brought him to life. Now Jane was attached to one too, namely the Aether that showed up in Thor the Dark World. Potentially this flowing through her veins could have been the reason that she could harness the hammer, and also gain the power of Thor. If you cast your mind back to the first Thor film, Odin said whoever shall be worthy shall have the power of Thor, so her lifting this would instantly give her his abilities. Now a big missing part of the trailer is Gore the Butcher, who we know is going to be the big bad in the film. Like a lot of things in this video, we got our first look at him in the toy leaks, but he doesn't show up here. There was a lot of back and forth over this, and from here on out, I'm calling the guy Christian Pale. As for the design, it's
good.
a big departure
What
from
do you
the
guys
comics,
think?
and I'm actually interested to see where they go with it.
I like
The
it.
big defense around the whole thing is that you don't hire Christian Bale and then hide his face, but let me present to you the Dark Knight trilogy. Anyway, though it's not really in line with the comics, I think that the design is kinda creepy. The guy looks like Anakin did after he got melted in Revenge of the Sith, and I'm getting a lot of evil monk vibes from him here. We also know from the toy leaks that the end of his fingers will be black, much in the same way that Agatha's were in WandaVision after she cast magic from the Dark Dimension. Now this kinda ties into the overarching theory that I have about Gore and the Necro Sword, which we also know he'll be wielding. This powerful weapon is strong enough to butcher a god, however it also has a darker side to it. Wielding it could corrupt Gore throughout the film, and it may start by turning his fingers black before it moves over his whole body. Though the design for the character is getting a lot of backlash, I'd love to see if it mutated him over the film, and eventually we could get a version of him that's more in line with the comics. Now in case you don't know, the comics pretty much outline his backstory really well. Growing up he was very religious, tying into this monk idea, and Gore was told that the gods would shield him from harm if he ever prayed to them. However, after his wife and all their children died, he promised to get revenge on the gods, and he sought out a way to kill them one by one. This led him into conflict with Thor, who eventually managed to defeat him through absorbing his weapon known as the God Bomb. Thor labeled him the god of hypocrisy, and though he killed him, he was later resurrected in following storylines. Bale is a massive get for the MCU. I can't wait to see what he pulls off in the movie. The Dark Knight trilogy is probably still the best comic book trilogy of all time, and it's going to be great seeing him in this film. As for what happened to his family in the MCU, there's been lots of rumours such as him being snapped and thus he wasn't there to protect them. According to reports, they all died upon his return, but this might just be BS because hey, it's the internet and anyone can make stuff up. There's also theories that they were killed by Hela, and this would somewhat set up his vendetta with Thor. With her being the goddess of death, it would also tie in with the Necro Sword, which he may have obtained from her realm. As for my reaction, this first look has got me really hyped. Thor Ragnarok is in my top 5 MCU films, and I think it's easily the funniest Marvel movie there is.
It's definitely up there.
Waititi has gone on to
Especially
win
for me.
Oscars for his directing, and I think the guy's got a really good sense of humour. Go watch What We Do in the Shadows if you haven't seen it. And the comics they're choosing to take elements from are also really strong as well, and casting Christian Bale as the villain is something that people will definitely want to see. All in all, this is making for a great movie, and there's such a fun and stylized take on the whole teaser trailer. Really fun to be back with the God of Thunder.
Another good breakdown from Heavy Spoilers, but make sure you guys go like his video. This video will be linked in the description. Also subscribe to him. He's by far who I think the #1 breakdown on YouTube is, in fact, Paul from Heavy Spoilers. And then there might be rock stars. You know, if Paul ever sees this video and I rank him over new rock stars, he'll definitely he'll be happy by that. But yeah, a good breakdown by Paul. Some things I did not catch, some things I knew of prior to this, and some things I caught in the trailer too as well. But as we all need, sometimes we need a little bit of a breakdown to fill us in. And now we know, and now we can tell other people, and now I can tell other people that did not know these things. So it makes you feel smarter by the end of the day. But another good breakdown, and this trailer is short, but it's a good tease. It's done its job. It gave us a good tease. Now I'm just waiting for not only Doctor Strange, but that official full-length 2 whole minutes of a trailer is what I'm waiting for. And I bet you we'll get it come June, because this movie comes out at the end of July. We'll get it come the first week of June, and then the final trailer coming that first month, the first week of July is what I think. And then I think they're just gonna spam us with TV spots to the point where we're going, chill, you're gonna show us the whole movie. But yeah, that is what my predictions are for that. But if you guys haven't seen my trailer reaction for Thor 4, make sure to click it and watch it. I'll have it linked at the end of this video, or go into the description and you'll find it there. With that being said, guys, I'm Reel It In Miles, and this is Reel It In Reactions. Alright? Reel It In Reactions. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. And most importantly, don't forget to turn on those notifications. Peace.